What's up, everyone? And this is your bestest pal in the world, Greg here. Now, there's something I'd like to share with you involving what I do in my spare time, because in case you guys have no doubt guessed, I'm kind of a big nerd. I like comic books, I like video games, I like animated TV shows and movies, and one particular TV show that I like to talk about is Avatar The Last Airbender. And it has great animation, it has great characters. It has a great story. It has great world building too. It's just one of those shows that will definitely go down in history as one of the greatest animated shows of all times. And there's also a sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender called Legend of Korra. And the thing is with Legend of Korra is that it's not as well received at least not as well received by audiences the first as the first as the first show. There's a lot of people who absolutely love the show. There's a lot of people who absolutely hate it. While for me personally, I kind of enjoy the Legend of Korra. Not as much as Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I still do kind of like it. It it has an okay story. It has a good it has an okay story. It has some pretty memorable characters. And the world building still stays true to the original show, while also adding some new additions, as well as to the animation. And it has some pretty great and memorable villains in it too, which is admittedly one of the things that the first show didn't really have. Don't get me wrong, I love Azula, I love the Fire Lord, I love Sparky Sparky Boom Man, but let's be on let's be honest. The show doesn't really have that many memorable villains in it. Villains like Amon, villains like Unalak, villains like Zahir, villains like Kuvira. Villains that really push the envelope when it comes to how identifiable they are and how it relates to the overall story. And yet, despite this, Legend of Korra still gets hate. And I kind of want to be able to dig into why that is. And for me, I came up with three theories. The first theory is basically timing. With Legend of Korra, let me see. Here we go. Legend of Korra first came out in 2012, while while the very last episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender came out in 2008. A little, so it's about 4 years apart from each other. So I feel like it didn't really have that much room in between the gap in years to be able to give Legend of Korra the time it needs to be able to blossom the care blossom to the majority of the Avatar: The Last Airbender fan base, which I definitely feel like is one of the same problems that Teen Titans Go suffers from. Even though I love the original Teen Titans and respect them far more than I do the original Teen Titans Go. And Teen Titans Go has a lot of problems with it, despite having its own fan base, which I will get into in a separate video. I think I'll do that video after this one next week, but I'm gonna stick to Legend of Korra. And timing has plays a big factor in how an animated show is made, how it's advertised, and how it's published into into certain platforms, like with the company Nickelodeon, which, of course, since the first show was first presented on Nickelodeon's channel, it would make sense to be able to have the Legend of Korra on Nickelodeon also, even though after season 3, Nickelodeon sort of took Legend of Korra off, which really infuriates me to the point where I just say, Nickelodeon, what are you doing? So, as I was saying before I kind of trailed off there, the second theory that I have is that with the main cast from the first Legend of Korra, or should I say the main characters from the first Avatar: The Last Airbender show, are not quite as present in this show. It real it really had such a big impact on people because a lot of people really want to see Aang and his friends be able to interact with this new world as grown-ups. But they didn't get but they weren't able to get that, and it really frustrates and upsets them, which I can understand that we all have our favorite characters and we want to see them grow and we want to be able to grow up with those characters. The thing is though is that the thing is though with stories like Legend of Korra and with how a lot of TV shows evolve is that you gotta be able to make changes and you gotta be able to take risks when it comes to how the story evolves past the previous show. And I feel like while Legend of Korra doesn't do it perfectly, it still pays respect to the original show in a way that it deserves. Even even though a lot of people may not be able to appreciate it. Now, the third, the third, now the third theory that I have is that simple, is that simply, it, it's a show that, it's a show that's pretty much all about female empowerment. And the thing is, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all to be able to have a female empowerment message, especially since we live in a time where we don't have a female president. We have a we used to have a female vice president, but we still don't have a female president, and we really need one, especially nowadays. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that, but still, you get my point. We need to have this message where we need to have women just as involved as men are. I feel like this show definitely does a great job of presenting that. And I know that a lot of people are gonna be able to pick out the story saying that Korra should be struggling with being a waterbender, or that she should be knocked she should be very insecure and knocked down by the world. But the thing is, that doesn't really make the story all that stronger if that was the case, considering how Korra is a different character from Aang. And you gotta be able to treat Korra as if she's a different person than what Aang is. You see, Aang doesn't want to be Avatar, mainly because of the pressures that being the Avatar brings. While with Korra, she is absolutely ecstatic to be Avatar, mainly because of all the all the perks of being Avatar. Being the most powerful bender in the world would being would be one of those perks. And being the only bender that can be able to connect to the spirit, one of the only few benders to be able to connect to the spirit world, to be the bridge between spirit and humanity, I should say. And Korra goes through this transition as she goes through the story, and it does have some positive aspects in terms of how the story works, considering how as Aang gets more and more comfortable with being Avatar throughout the story, though accepting more of his place in the world, the Legend of Korra is more about the world slowly challenging Korra's own place in the world, and and trying to bring her these challenges that knocks her down from being the Avatar, like what the fan base does to her. But other than that I feel like the story definitely paints a really positive picture about female empowerment, even though I am aware there are some flaws in the story here and there, and some flaws of the characters. But that's okay. I'm not expecting Legend of Korra to be a perfect sequel. I'm just expecting it to be a sequel that definitely pays respects to the original show, and a show that is entertaining, and a show that expands on what the original show does. And while I do hope that you can be able to take some of my what I say into consideration, I still do respect if people don't like the show. After all, no one has to like the same thing. That's what makes everyone special. I'm just putting this video out there just in case. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. I will see you next time. And now for our bloopers. Hello, everyone. I screwed it up. I screwed up my intro. What's up, everyone? It's your bestest pal in the world, Greg here. And, there's something I'd like to talk about in terms of some things that like to do in my spare time. Because, in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm quite a big nerd. I like video games, I like comic books, I like to play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. I like all that stuff. I like all that stuff. I like TV shows too, especially animated TV shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I definitely feel like it's one of those shows that does so much amazing things, and does so puts so much effort into their animation that it'll definitely go down in history as one of the greatest animated shows of all times. And there's also its sequel, Legend of Korra, which a lot of people have mixed opinions on. There are some that really like the show, but there are some that absolutely hate it. I myself, I actually kind of enjoy Legend of Korra, mainly because, while I do know that there are people who will. What's up, everyone? It's your bestest pal in the world, Greg here. And there's something I'd like to talk about in terms of some of the things I do in my free time, like being What's up, everyone? My name is. I screwed it up again.